What's going on, guys? Good morning. Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well. Welcome back to another Transfer View. A new week, more transfer news, more things to get into. We're basking on the glow of Manchester United's pre-season victory over Arsenal at the weekend, the first pre-season fixture in the United States. Oh, my goodness me, a lot of fallout from it. It was a lot of fun. Don Robbie. Humbled? I don't know what you're talking about. Too busy copying. That's what it is. Erik ten Hag got the blueprint spot on, Marcel. He's been copying Mikel Arteta, copying him so much so that he got the victory as well. Oh, God, what a weekend. It's been a wild weekend, but there's still plenty of transfer news to get into. We're going to be talking about strikers today, because Rasmus Hojlund, a bid is going in this week, and for all intents and purposes, it looked like it might just take one bid to secure him from Atalanta. So we're going to be talking about that, but there's been an added wrench thrown into this one, Marcel, because Harry Kane may now be available once again, because news has been reported last night that actually, you know what? The Spurs majority owner has said to Daniel Levy, he can't go on a free. He cannot go on a free. You have to sell him this summer or tie him down to a new contract. Therefore, he's not going to be tied down to a new contract, so he might be sold. But can United afford to do both? Will they do both, or are they just going to go after Rasmus Hojlund? Plenty to get into there. A bit of an update about Andre Onana, how his transfer from Inter Milan to Manchester United came to be. We're going to be talking about Wan-Bissaka as well, a contract extension on the horizon for him. Bit of an update about Ahmad. Of course, he went off very quickly in the second half against Arsenal through an injury, so an update on him. Plus, Eric Bailly, a Saudi move is in his future. So there is so much to get into this morning. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Speaking of subscribers, there has been a ton of new subscribers here on the channel. So if you are new, let us know in the live chat. Where you're watching from? What time is it? What's the weather? What's the weather like outside? Because here it's absolutely rancid in the UK at the moment. But Mr. Marcel 10 books. How are you doing this morning?
Owen, thank you very much. I'm good. Really good win the other day against Arsenal. Really enjoyed that kind of match. You know, the players finally setting the kind of tempo required to play at the club. You know, no game is a friendly. I can't believe, you would think Arsenal and Man United and the word friendly are in the same sentence, and it's going to really genuinely feel like a friendly tempo kind of match. And the players are finally, shown what we've always wanted to see. It's just a fight. We want to see the fight. We've always been complaining about players being a bit soft or timid. They didn't show that, and they've started from literally one of the first games of the season. So, pre-season's a good way to start in the good habits, and, players looked really sharp.
They did look really sharp, and it was a really fun game. It's always fun playing Arsenal just in general, specifically when it comes to those AFTV guys. But no, it was a fun game to watch. United didn't even play their strongest side, no goalkeeper, no striker, and we still managed to get the job done. And then when we rotated completely in the second half, they still couldn't score. So, I'm still basking in that. We can't focus on it too much. It's only pre-season, that is true. But let's talk about strikers. Let's start off talking about Rasmus Hojlund. Now, usually we would probably split these into two separate stories, but they're kind of connected at this point because, again, it's all about the striker position for United, the number 9 role. And Fabrizio Romano has said that he understands Manchester United are now set to submit their first official bid for Rasmus Hojlund. This was yesterday. He said next week, so that's this week. PSG, of course, they're still circling the player like Jaws, like a Steven Spielberg thriller, saying PSG keeps speaking to the player side. Manchester United are set to bid soon. They want to avoid any hijack. Manchester United have already agreed personal terms. They've agreed them since May. But then all of this Harry Kane stuff started to come out last night. So it wasn't just one person as well. It came from so many different sources. One being Jamie Jackson from The Guardian, who said that Manchester United could revive their interest in Harry Kane after being informed that Tottenham's chairman, Daniel Levy, has been told by the club's majority owner, Joe Lewis, the striker cannot be allowed to run down his contract and leave for nothing next year. In addition to that, I mentioned it wasn't just one outlet that was reporting it. Rob Dawson from ESPN said that Manchester United have been encouraged they could still land Harry Kane because of a belief the striker will have to leave Spurs this summer and be sold and not leave on a free. also came from the Telegraph as well, saying the same story, that the majority owner does not want the £100 million asset in Harry Kane running down his contract and leaving on a free. Therefore, he has to either be sold or sign a new Spurs contract. And given the fact he's not going to sign a new Spurs contract, he needs to go. Ben Jacobs tweeted that Manchester United, though, haven't returned for Harry Kane to date, having felt that he would not be sold to a Premier League club unless a huge offer was tabled. They explored the deal very, very early on in the transfer window, even before it, and had low optimism that anything was possible. Therefore, they moved on to other targets. They're currently, this is quite interesting, only watching the saga unfold from afar, basically suggesting that they're not completely out, but they're just waiting to see what happens from it. Fabrizio Romano then expanded upon this, saying that Manchester United remain solely focused on Rasmus Hojlund as a new striker at this stage, despite these recent stories surrounding Harry Kane. The opening bid for Hojlund is coming soon, possibly today, after the personal terms have already been agreed. And Alfredo Padula, who's been all over United transfer stories this summer, particularly the ones based in Italy, the likes of Andre Onana, has said that Rasmus Hojlund has reiterated to his agency, the same agency representing Erik ten Hag, in the last few hours that he still wants Manchester United. So, Marcel, a lot of information there, I know. But where do you sit on this one? Where would you go? Do you think it's a situation where United go, look, we'd love Harry Kane, but that's still very murky waters. We've done a lot of work. We've done a lot of legwork for Rasmus Hojlund. The player wants it. We've now got a fee that we think Atalanta would want. We're quite far into this process. We're going to go here. Do you think United sort of pause everything and wait to see how the Kane deal plays out? Or do you think they say, is there any way we can do both?
Wow. Well, this really kind of those kind of options, really, those are perfectly the three options almost laid out there. I think the target has always been, Owen, to maybe get both. We was always saying at the beginning of the summer, look, you need a leading goal scorer, world-class striker, and somebody to come in and do the apprenticeship, someone that's young enough, that's able to learn from the world-class striker that you bring in. So that's the perfect scenario, bringing in Harry Kane and getting in Hojlund, and then even getting in Amrabat, if I'm honest with you. And then you're really looking to compete and contend for the second place or the first place in the league. But I think what will happen is I think you've got to go in for Harry Kane. They've obviously they put down a marker talking about 100 million, which I think is still overpriced for him, but it's a good bargaining place, to start at, I guess, and to appease obviously Levy and co. But we should definitely go in for Harry Kane and try, like we've been doing for all the signings, just try and get that price maybe down to 85, 90 million. At that price of 100 mil, you're getting a guaranteed the best player in the league. I think, the best player in the league, and that's just worth it for 4 seasons, for 5 seasons. It's just going to transform the way that we play in forward line. Goals guaranteed now, and last season I think we only got how many goals? 50, 60 goals in the Prem. Harry Kane's 30 odd goals, 20 odd goals in the Prem, and now you're really starting to push for the league. And I wouldn't want to try, if I had the option between the two, and I think that's the direction we're going to go in, it has to be one or the other, I would say go Harry Kane.
It's an interesting one, this, because I think if we'd have had this little bit of light, a month ago, 6 weeks ago, maybe we'd be talking about a really different situation. But it's tough. I think United have played it very well, it must be said. In years gone by, they'd have, from the get-go, they'd have pursued Harry Kane even though it wasn't going to happen. We'd have wasted time. We'd be on tour with no signings at the moment going, well, putting everything into Harry Kane, we believe we can get him, and then we don't end up getting him. I think they were wise very early on to have a look, maybe talk to some intermediaries and say, hey, is it feasible? What do you think the situation is going to be? And they go, look, there is no way. I mean, the story was you'd have to kill Daniel Levy to sell Harry Kane. Well, Daniel Levy then might be on death row the way things are going because he's going to have to be sold. But the point being is that United explored that really early on. And it was like, he doesn't want to do business with a Premier League club, and he just doesn't want to sell Harry Kane. So United, rightfully so, said, we've got other stuff we need to do. It's not just a striker we need this summer. Yes, that's the priority, but we've got other people we need to get. So, okay, we're parking that to one side. Maybe we'll revisit it when he becomes a free agent next year, something like that. Okay. So they go and do the other targets, and they go get Mason Mount. They get Andre Onana. Rasmus Hojlund, I think there's a fair confidence that that is going to happen. And you would go, good business. And we've done decent business so far. And now you've done this work, you've done this legwork for Hojlund, and given how United work, where it's like if a bid goes in, I mean, we're expecting maybe a couple, but given the fact that PSG are circling Rasmus Hojlund, it might take less than the 3 bids it took to get Mason Mount to Andre Onana.
Yeah.
It might just be 1. So the deal maybe is even closer than it was for those other 2 players at this stage. And it's like, I don't know if it doesn't feel particularly wise just to abandon that, does it? That would be very, very reckless from United to do at this point, particularly when we are close to the season. We're in pre-season at this point, and we need a striker. We need a striker, and you don't want to abandon what feels like a sure thing for a risk. And I understand there's risk versus reward, but it would be a risk. And we still don't know if Daniel Levy would be willing to sell to a Premier League club. I suppose the element of sort of the little bit of light United have when it comes to chasing Harry Kane is that it's a bit like the Kylian Mbappe situation, whereby the player, particularly nowadays, is in full control of their destiny. The player can go wherever they want to go and they can do what they want. So if Harry Kane, and there have been rumors that maybe he's already agreed a deal with Bayern Munich himself, but if Harry Kane realizes that United are in for him, then Harry Kane can force that move through, particularly now with a new set of circumstances. He can say, look, you can agree a fee with Bayern Munich, but I'm not signing a contract there. I'm not going. I know that United are interested in me. Therefore, if a bid comes in for United, you have to accept it. Otherwise, I won't sign a new contract here at Spurs, and I will leave on a free next year, and you can do nothing about it. Therefore, you have to sell me because the guy above you, Daniel Levy, has told you you have to sell me this summer. So he does have an element of power there, but I don't know if Harry Kane has that within him to play those kind of games or force Spurs' hand like that. So I would think the wisest thing to do for United's point of view would just be like business as usual. We're still putting the bid in for Hojlund. We're going for Hojlund. That's who we're going to get. Unless they really get noises from Harry Kane's camp that are, if you put a bid in, we'll make sure it gets accepted and we'll go, then maybe you change direction. Or, and I know FFP and all that kind of stuff, you figure a way out to do both. You try your very best way. Again, I don't think that's actually possible. I don't think it's possible given the financial situation that we're in. But then you start going to Spurs. Who do you want? Do you want Jadon Sancho? Do you want... I don't know. Who do you want? Do you want Martial and Sancho? Like what players... Maguire, yeah. Like what can we do to make it work? Because financially we don't have that capability, but the player wants it, and otherwise he's going to leave on a free next year and we'll do it then. So there's still quite a few hurdles, I think, for that one to actually happen with Harry Kane, but it's also the fear of missing out principle. I think all United fans, well, the majority, would be so annoyed and frustrated if Harry Kane does actually get sold this summer and goes to Bayern Munich. We'd be like, we could have done that.
We could have done, and on top of that, I think what Man United need to do is not make the bid first. I think we need to kind of feel the situation, see the price that Bayern Munich going at, and then that will kind of see how David Levy kind of behaves. You know, I think Bayern Munich are going to put 75 million bid in, and see if he has to accept that, or is he going to try and play hardball with them and raise the price a little bit? Because then we can see what price he'll be willing to, you know, what's the numbers that are roughly he's playing with, you know, is it going to be 105 or is it going to be building up to 100 million? How much is he going to go for? What would he accept? And I think that's what I'm excited to see most, to be honest with you, how much he actually goes for, because I don't think he's £100 million player right now with the conditions that he's under. You know, it's 1 year left, if that.
£100 million player. I mean, it's difficult because I always understood Spurs' point of view when it comes to them. He's £100 million player because without Harry Kane, they don't do anything this season. Yeah. I mean, they don't. A lot of the time, they haven't done anything anyway, right? Yeah. But particularly this season, they won't do anything without Harry Kane. That he's just too important. But now again, with that added pressure from the people above him saying, you know, he's got to be sold, then he's way more on the market than he was previously. But his timing's everything, isn't it? And it feels like it comes at a bad time for United. You know, if we had money, we didn't have FFP restrictions, then you do feel United would be all over it. But I do think, again, it's United have done right this summer and played it right by not getting involved in a saga. And I'm sure even now they're like, we're not getting involved in a saga. I did see other reports this morning from TalkSport and others suggesting that no, United still at the moment, they're focused on Hojlund. Like Romano said, they're still focused on Hojlund. They're not going to go in for Harry Kane at this stage unless something changes. And that's kind of what I was sort of suggesting, that I still think a lot has to happen. A lot has to happen for United to truly get involved in that race. And that lot that has to happen is from Harry Kane himself. And I don't know if he would really do that to Spurs. But at the same time, I just think him going to Bayern Munich's an odd move.
Yeah, if he had the choice, I don't think he goes. I think he wants to stay in England. But do you think he forces, Spurs' hand, and we end up seeing him go for a cheaper price because he's put in a transfer request, and maybe he's gone out in the public and said he wants to move on to achieve bigger things, win the Premier League, win the Champions League? Do you think potentially we see him go on a reduced price because of his?
Well, what was quite interesting is Jamie Jackson said in his article, he said that actually the £100 million transfer fee wouldn't actually be that much of an issue for United, interestingly. He said that's not too much of a stumbling block. He said what's really the stumbling block is Harry Kane's wages, suggesting that possibly he'd be looking for 30 million quid a year, which is that's like over 500k a week, considerably more actually than 500k a week, involving obviously everything, image rights, etc., etc., etc. The list goes on. So from that point of view, again, from an FFP point of view, they might be looking at it going, even if we got a bid accepted, could we actually afford it this summer with the other business that we want to do? So it's really, really challenging. I think probably the game plan right now, again, the smart game plan is we're still doing Hojlund. We're going to put a bid in. We know that one's going to either be accepted or it might be rejected, but we'll be close. We'll be close to that. And we think that we're going to get that. Maybe if Bayern eventually do get an offer accepted for Harry Kane, let's say hypothetically it's like 80 million quid, something like that. Maybe then United go, well, let's see what happens if we put 80 million quid in, just out of curiosity. And then we maybe try and expand from there. But I still have a difficult time believing that we get to the end of the transfer window and we've signed Harry Kane. But at the same time, I just don't know if I can see him go to Bayern. I don't know now. I really don't know. But I think the Man United option is probably the least likely one at the moment.
He's he's potentially maybe the last signing, you know what I'm saying? And that's a big chunk of money to be spending towards the back end of the window. But if we do get Hojlund now, because I do agree with you, I think going on the current plan that they've been doing now, focusing on Hojlund now, because you can get him now, and he wants to join the club. And at the end of the day, that's what you want. You want players that want to play for the team and are hungry to play for the side. So he ticks that box, and he's got a lot of ability. Okay, get him in. And then who do you think we go for next? Then Amrabat, and then Harry Kane, or
well, no, I think if they believe they can get Harry Kane, I think the Hojlund thing I still think happens because again, it's so much. It would be so much of a risk to be like, we're going to park Hojlund here, particularly when PSG are after him too. So it's not only the fact of Atalanta might change their mind, but like Anthony last year, well, if you want to come in for him now, you could have done it earlier on. Now you have to pay double the price. Or PSG go, we've seen a little bit of a gap in the door. We're going to kick it open, and we sign Hojlund. Like United just can't afford to take that risk for a player that they don't know in Harry Kane what it's even going to look like. It could be a reduced saga from what they thought it was going to be earlier on in the window, but it's still a big saga. It would still be a saga, particularly negotiating with Daniel Levy. And again, we don't know if he's going to sell to a Premier League club, and it relies on Harry Kane to push it. So United, the right thing to do is be like, look, we've got our plan. We're sticking with it. It is what it is. And then again, if they do believe later on something can happen, they see if they can make it work. Now, if you said to me, Owen, you have to not get Amrabat, you have to not get the backup goalkeeper, you have to sell players, and then maybe you can get the Harry Kane one, there may be something you do, that's what you do later on. But I don't know. It's basically the epitome of risk versus reward, isn't it?
Yep.
And exactly. I don't think United should take the risk.
But the risk guarantees goals for the next maybe.
No, but I mean the risk means basically putting everything else on hold at the moment.
Oh yeah, definitely. I agree with that. And yeah, when you put it in that perspective, actually, you got to maybe just take some time to think about it. I would say, because you put in this bid for Hojlund over the course of this week, and you get him, and you use the funds for that. I agree that it's going to be a bit more difficult, towards the back of the end window to maybe raise the funds for Harry Kane. The outgoings have to be good. Like you said, the wages. Maybe Sancho goes the other way. You never know. Like you were saying, you're talking about other players, maybe, or that Tottenham might want. Sancho might be one of them. The wages that he has is so high. That covers maybe some of Harry Kane's wages.
Oh, don't get me wrong. If we sign Harry Kane as well, then you're talking about challenging for titles.
Yeah,
I mean, you look at the business. You've got a new goalkeeper. We added to the midfield. We've got Harry Kane, scores 30 goals a season every season. It's ridiculous. And again, I've been with you, Marcel, for months at this point, going, if you can get Harry Kane, go get him, number one target, but not at the expense of, like, United can't afford to get to the end of the window with nothing. You know what I mean? That's the concern, isn't it? Is that if they park the Hojlund thing, PSG got Hojlund, and then it's like, we go for Harry Kane, and then Daniel Levy's like, I'm not selling to a Premier League club. Like,
Yeah.
And then we don't have anyone. Then what do we do? Then we don't have a striker. And that is such a risk.
Yeah.
So I'd rather apply caution, and it's not bad caution, get Hojlund. And then, again, if you can find a way, then do it. Absolutely do it. Park everything else after that. Because as you pointed out, going into the transfer window, the plan was don't buy one striker, buy two. Yeah. That was the plan. It was get Hojlund. Hojlund's meant to be a backup. It was meant to be bring Hojlund in as the understudy to learn off of Harry Kane. Have that apps, and that was the plan. Obviously, the plans have evolved a lot in the last couple of months since then. But maybe there is a conversation. I'm sure when they see that kind of news, Eric Ten Hag sits down with John Murtough and Matt Hargreaves, the negotiator guy, and all that kind of stuff, and they go, look, we're not abandoning Hojlund. We've done too much, and we're going to bring him in. If it were to be feasible, how would we do it? Something like that. I think that would be the way to do it at the moment, because again, at the moment, it's still very, it's very hypothetical at the moment, isn't it? We've had a poll in the chat. Yes, exactly. It's 15 minutes gone into the poll in the chat, and the question was, what will United do? Not what do you want them to do? What will United do? And it was a 3-way poll, and the options were sign Hojlund, sign Kane, or sign both. Now, it's very, very close, Marcel, because the two options that are tied at the moment as to what United will do, not what do you want them to do, what they will do is sign Hojlund. Actually, it's changed now, but sign Hojlund is on 44%, sign Kane is on 14%, and sign both is on 40. Well, now it's shifted again, 43%. So basically, sign Hojlund and sign both is neck and neck as to what people think United will do. So wow. I think they're suggesting that we can say everyone expects Manchester United to sign Rasmus Hojlund, but there is people in there that are going, I think we'll get Harry Kane in the end, which again is very, very interesting. Let's get to a couple of super chats here as well. Sashiv says, get Kane, Hojlund, and Amrabat. 21 is coming. I'd be flabbergasted if they got all three and managed to somehow find a way to make that budget work. But who knows? It's just, again, I think it's what is really appealing to people is that fear of missing out. If Harry Kane does leave this summer and it's not to United, then it'll be like, how did we not? How did that happen? PS has been a member for 12 months. Appreciate 12 months of support. Said we should get Hojlund to make sure we have a number 9. Kane issue will go until August. Get Hojlund and Amrabat, then take a stab in a month's time. Basically suggesting that, carry on with your business as planned at the moment. And then as the Kane saga continues to play out, maybe you get involved and try and sweep in, do a Chelsea, let Bayern do all the groundwork, and then see if you can just sweep in at the last second. Amanor says, Owen, why not go for Hojlund now and Tony in January? Well, you could get Ivan Tony, I guess, in January whenever he's back. But I think that's what we are doing, particularly going for Hojlund now. And then January, it depends on the takeover situation too. If we're still in this situation come January, which, by the way, we might be. Yeah. Like, you can't rule out. It's been 10 months, so who knows how long it's going to go on for. we might not do any business in January again, a bit like last year. SK says, I think we need to stick to our guns and get Hojlund done. We need at least one done, and Levy will definitely use this to play games with us for Kane. And that's kind of my concern. So again, I don't think United should just abandon everything that they've got planned so far as well. And also big up Josh is in the chat. He says time different settings. He's got the eyes. They have been traveling once again to California. They're now on the West Coast. West Coast Marcel, West Coast Josh, ahead of the game in San Diego for against Wrexham this week as well. That's such a late kickoff. But we'll be covering it here, live on United View, in the Asylum as well.
In the Asylum, early morning.
In the Asylum, yes. But big up everyone, because again, I know loads of people have been really enjoying all of the tour content. We said it. We are people of our words. We live up to it. No one does preseason content like us. Yeah, UV, that's what we do. And it's obviously football, but it's about everything. We want to give you the experience that you're on tour as well. You don't want to just be inside the stadium. You want to see the cities. You want to see everything. You want to be in New York, in San Diego. You want to be in Texas, Houston, Texas. You want to be in Las Vegas, Nevada. And you want to see everything that comes along with it. So loads of people have been really enjoying it. People really enjoyed the cameo from Stretford Paddock that was on the beginning of yesterday's video, the meetup, the multiverse colliding. Yes, they've been doing it in DC films and Marvel films. It's in the Manchester United YouTube space as well. People asking as well about the vlogs. That was kind of a vlog yesterday. I got confirmation this morning via a very early voice note from Josh. There are two vlogs coming for the New York trip. The mega vlog was so mega that they had to split it in half. It's like Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. They had to cut it in half. It's too big. It's too big a movie. So there is one that's going to be dropping today, and there's one's going to be dropping in a couple of days. So keep an eye out for that. That's coming later today. A lot of people really enjoying all of the preseason tour content as well. Marcel, let's talk about Andre Onana. A bit of a story here. Story time with Owen and Marcel, because The Athletic, specifically Laurie Whitwell, has written a piece this morning kind of breaking down the timeline of how Andre Onana joined Manchester United. And the key part is that after the FA Cup final, Erik ten Hag decided he could wait no longer when it comes to a new goalkeeper and started talking and asking about Andre Onana's availability. A senior agent had begun talking to him about Denzel Dumfries, which we've been linked to a million times, but brought up Onana during a phone call, and the fuse was lit. And he ended up, of course, joining Manchester United. Now, Onana didn't play against Arsenal at the weekend. He was there. He did train. He did the warm-ups, Marcel. I saw, actually, you on Twitter. So you on Twitter going, the warm-ups. Yeah. The warm-ups. I saw the training. And again, Man United said he wasn't quite ready. Of course, he'd just flown out to America, so maybe it wasn't the right time for him to start a game, all that kind of stuff. So it's looking likely he's going to make his debut against all teams, Real Madrid in Houston, Texas. Not bad. Yeah. How excited are you? And what did you make of his warm-ups that you saw?
Wow, he just looks he's just on a different level. He's just on a different level. The passing is so crisp. He's got the technique of the pass, just a punched fizz pass, short distances, long distance passing. He's going to change the way that we play football completely. He's going to revolutionize that build-up phase. A lot of our attacks are going to feel kind of like, especially from goal kicks, they're going to feel a little bit like counter-attacks, especially when he's able to bypass all the players that the opposition are committing forward, by passes over the top or clever passes into the defensive third, the midfield third, the defensive half, or the midfield areas. So looking forward to it. And really excited that, it's a big game that he's coming in at, but just his attitude, man, what he's been saying on social media, how he's been talking about the club, he just seems he just oozes confidence. Doesn't seem like another timid player. All of Ten Hag's previous, Lisandro Martinez, aggressive with bite and character. Andre Onana speaks very well, is confident. Even Anthony, maybe not, you don't see much in the media, but his personality, how he carries himself on the pitch, how he looks so aggressive. He looks like he wants to fight. He looks like he wants to play well and is hungry to play for the side. So the character shift that's happening currently within Manchester United is just beautiful to see. Andre Onana just looks like another one of those players that would just fit in a squad. We were talking about how, or you could see last season how everyone was doing high fives and fist bumps in the defensive line. That just looks like that's going to carry on. It just looks like he's never one of those players that will communicate, is not afraid to do that. And we're gonna be a different side now.
I saw the interview that he did, his first interview, and I thought he spoke really, really well. And he, like you said, he released that video on social media. I thought talking about his journey from being a young kid in Cameroon to making it all of now to being a Manchester United player. And he said, I think the line was, I thought the perfect place to continue dreaming is in the theater of dreams. And everyone went, oh, it's a good line, that.
Yeah.
It's a good line, Marcel. And obviously, look, you can't get too carried away by that. That's largely marketing stuff. And, you know, even the clips of him in training, the passing drills and all that, it looks good, looks great. We'll wait and see what happens to the matches. But as we spoke about earlier on, we beat Arsenal without our new number 1, but number 24 in goal in Andre Onana. But shout out, by the way, to Tom Heaton, because he was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Not just in terms of shot stopping, because he made a double save from Martinelli. That was a really good save, but also his distribution was great against Arsenal. And I was having a conversation with Flex after the game, and we were sort of saying that for all of this talk about bringing in a new backup goalkeeper, maybe Suzuki, all that kind of stuff, and you're talking about Harry Kane or other targets, Amrabat, you know, because you're stretching the budget. Is there an argument to be made that actually, I know Tom Heaton's been linked to Luton, but actually, maybe you just keep him as the number 2. He's probably not going to play a load of games because Onana's going to play the majority of the games throughout the season. But maybe you keep Heaton. Maybe, again, you don't get that new backup goalkeeper and spread the money elsewhere. What do you think about that?
Really good idea. And, you know, we're talking about, you know, managing the budget. And that's one of the things that you might have to do. You know, we were talking about getting 2 strikers and you're spending 150 million. So you're going to have to, you know, maybe take a step back somewhere else, you know, even accepting potentially that Maguire doesn't go and things like that are possibilities and things that we might have to accept, unfortunately. But, you know, I think that's still a really good idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because he's older. I think he's like, 33, maybe, something like that. And he had been linked to be going to Luton. And maybe from his point of view, it's like, you know, obviously, look, I love Man United, came through the academy here. And I really love being around the group. And I feel like we are going to do something. But to get the opportunity to be the number 1 at this stage of my career in the Premier League, it's tough to turn down that. Really difficult to turn down. And maybe just from United's point of view, they might want the number 2 just to be a younger kid that they can develop into something in the future. If Suzuki's like 20 years old, 36, 37, God, I way played down his age. So again, which kind of makes my point even better though. When you get an opportunity to be a number 1 in the Premier League at that age, you go, that's a really good opportunity. I can't turn that down. And as I said, maybe United look at it as you can get Suzuki in, he's 20, Onana's 27, but you know, if Onana even sticks around for 5 years, Suzuki's then just coming into sort of, you know, his prime as a goalkeeper, really, and he can then play for a decade at United. If that's the long-term succession planning they want to do, maybe that does make a little bit more sense about that. But I thought Tom Heaton played very well, and again, very excited to see Andre Onana play for Manchester United against Real Madrid of all people as well. That's going to be a hell of a game. I'm very excited for that. Of course, we'll be covering it here on the channel too. More super chats and member chats. Amanor has been a member for 6 months. Appreciate 6 months of support. Says, hi, Owen. Love UV and watching the Stretford Paddock collab was amazing. I want to give you respect. You are the glue. You should ask for a pay rise from Fleck. I don't think this is the forum to be doing that if you're watching, Fleck. But yes, the collab was amazing. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's all about, you know, I think we're all united. It's the key word. Eric Ten Hag said it. We are united, eh? And that's what it's about. You know, we're all United fans. It doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter where you broadcast from. It's like being on, I don't know, you see it on TV all the time. And it's not like the Sky Sports guys don't talk to the guys on BT Sport or something. TNT Sport or on BBC. No, we're all United fans at the end of the day. And if they're in the same place at the same time, why not? And you guys really enjoy it. And that's the important thing too. If you guys really enjoy it, we're open to anything and all ideas. That's the whole point. And again, we're just fans at the end of the day. PS with the super chat says, did you enjoy Julia Roberts hanging out with Eric Ten Hag? I did. I did enjoy a lot of the celebrity interactions. Julia Roberts with her beloved Manchester United. I'm sure somewhere Pep was pulling out his last hair from his bald head. Oh, Julia. Oh,
why? I don't understand this.
know.
I was seeing a lot about this. But I saw the Martinez shirt. Everyone was holding Martinez's shirt right now. You know, they all got a little picture. I think Julia Roberts and somebody else had a picture of Martinez's shirt. Martinez is favoured right now. You know, he's popular amongst people.
Well, the celebrity interactions, of course, the Julia Roberts one was great. And obviously, you know me, Marcel, there was a WWE interaction there, and I loved it. That's my two worlds colliding. Talk about real multiverse settings. And I have honestly the best story about that. Okay. So obviously that was behind the scenes at the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. Now, after that video came out of Amos, who's like 7'3", or so, he is a giant. He's called the Nigerian Giant, right? That's his nickname. And there was MVP there, and they're meeting all the United players, blah, blah, blah. I then get told that KG also saw them too. And he went up to Amos, didn't know who he was, and shook his hand and said, "Oh, mate, you're really tall." And the worst thing is, I told him who Amos was ages ago. I said, KG. I said, that's your guy. He always asks me, he goes, "Is there any Nigerian wrestlers?" I go, "Yeah, there is actually. He's like 7'3" tall. He's the Nigerian Giant. He faced Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania." He goes, "Oh, wow, that's amazing. That's amazing." He shook his hand and he didn't even know who he was. The only thing he said to him is, "You're really tall, mate." That was it.
KG could have made that. He could have made
KG the comedian.
Yeah, he could have made that epic.
It could have been. Yeah. Lil Yo-Yo says, "Marcel, which goalkeeper have you seen that has the best warm-up?"
That I've personally watched.
Quite a few. You've seen quite a few.
Nick Pope.
Warm-ups at Old Trafford.
Nick Pope.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the best warm-up you've seen?
Yeah, Nick Pope.
So of all the people you've seen at Old Trafford, you've seen Edison come, you've seen Allison come.
Okay. Oh, no, Edison as well, though. Edison's ridiculous, though. Edison's ridiculous.
Oh, who's the best? Who's the best that you've seen come to Old Trafford or away games?
Short stopping, Nick Pope, and then just passing range, Edison.
Okay, that's better answer. I was going to say, I was like, Nick Pope, Marcel.
He's good.
Sashiv with a super chat says, "Remember the day, Thursday." I don't even start those. And Abby says, "Give Owen his pay rise." I don't want this to become a thing, by the way, guys. There's going to be salacious rumors. Salacious rumors are going to make their way to Flex on the West Coast. Let's talk a little bit about Aaron Wan-Bissaka possibly getting a contract extension. What a turnaround for the right back at Manchester United. So it was reported by Alan Nixon saying that Manchester United are ready to trigger the 1-year extension option on Aaron Wan-Bissaka's contract. It will take his current deal to 2025. But Manchester United want to keep Aaron Wan-Bissaka reportedly. He has impressed Erik ten Hag. Would you give him a longer contract extension than that, Marcel? Do you think there's future in Wamby at United moving forward?
Yeah. His ceilings, his stocks have gone way up now. You know, he's been transformed, Owen, as a player. You know, he's making forward runs. You know, it's just the end product now. It's just the end product. We trust him wholeheartedly defensively. Offensively now, he's causing problems by running into spaces and attacking spaces. It's just when he gets the ball now, what can he do on the ball? 1v1s, can you take on players? Can you produce output, you know, in terms of the crossing, passes into the final third, you know, and create chances? But being a nuisance, you know, adding himself in there in terms of pressing up high and winning the ball high up the pitch, he's good at. You know, doing the runs and being inverted or, you know, overlapping, he can do those things, but it's just when he finally gets to the last action in terms of taking the shot, producing the cross, he hasn't got the technique there yet, but he'll build on that. And I think because of that, you know, you need him in your sides. You know, against world-class wingers, they fear him. They fear Wan-Bissaka, and he's a top player, I think. My question, and this is to the chat as well, is Aaron Wan-Bissaka the number one right back at Manchester United at the moment? Let us know in the chat. Whilst Marcel's thinking of the answer to that, I can also say we've got nearly 2,000 people watching. What's the likes on at the moment? 301. We can easily get to 500. No problem, no bother. So if you haven't already, click that like button. Marcel, the question is Aaron Wan-Bissaka the number one right back at Manchester United right now? I'm going to say yeah. I'm going to say yes. I think Delos's fantastic, and I think Delos's mastered the position. He knows where to be at all times and how to add himself to be like a numerical advantage for Man United. Even on the left wing, I've seen him appear on the left wing, and that's where we've produced the overload, and then we get through and he creates something. I've seen him appear up in all sorts of positions. He really understands when to take up certain positions as a right back, especially in the Ten Hag system. But I still think Aaron Wan-Bissaka across the board, you know, when you're talking about the marathon of the Premier League, there's about 6 or 7 teams that have world class left wingers or really really good left wingers that are going to cause us problems. And Wan-Bissaka, I think against those 6 or 7 teams, you need him. You need him in that fixture. And now he's proven himself to be quite competent at adding himself in the offensive side of the game and in the and it's going to be mainly transitions for him. He's not going to be maybe he's not going to be good at building up and sustaining attacks in the final third, but in terms of in the transitional moments, breaking lines and causing havoc and giving the opposition defensive line something to do. I think he's really good at it. He just needs time to build on it. How old is he now at Owen? Maybe like 25, 26?
Yeah, I'm not sure how old he is. I mean, it's quite interesting actually in the chat. I would say the majority probably is saying yes. There is a couple saying no. We've got Lil Yo here saying I think he's first choice, but it's not by a long stretch. Depends on the opponent. Again, a lot of people were saying yes. Big up Steph. Steph's in the chat says Wan-Bissaka is the first choice right back, but by a mile for me. Lux Hill says no, he'll be sold at the first available opportunity. Well, now is the available opportunity, Lux Hill. So why is he not being sold? That would be my question when it comes to that. I would agree with you, Marcel. I would say that I think Wan-Bissaka is the starting number one right back at the moment. And I think we saw that at the end of last season, didn't we? And I think a big evidence as to why he's the number one right back is, like you said, particularly for those big games, FA Cup final, or FA Cup semi-final that you need to win, and you need to win those big battles against, he plays Wan-Bissaka. Because Ten Hag's realised, he goes, when I need someone that I can rely on defensively in those big games, he picks Wan-Bissaka. Now, it was the same in the preseason game against Arsenal. Argument to be made because Wan-Bissaka's played more preseason football than Diallo, so maybe it's just a case of being more up to speed. But he did well then. Attacking wise, does he still have a lot to improve? Yes, but I have seen improvement. And there were a couple of times against Arsenal where he was way up the pitch. He found himself in the box twice. Yeah. Granted, he didn't know what to do when he got up there. And actually, Flex and KG spoke to Benny McCarthy after the game. Really interesting interview. Be sure to check it out. Where KG asked him, goes, I can't believe I saw Wan-Bissaka in the opposition box. What happened there? And Benny McCarthy laughed. And he said, well, actually, Ten Hag has told the entire technical team that, no, we want everyone to be involved in these sort of offensive maneuvers. And we know that irrespective of if we bring anyone in, the goals have to be shared around more. Everyone's got to contribute. And that is the side of the game that Wan-Bissaka needs to improve on. It's the offensive side. We saw Diallo even score a goal last season against Forest away. Yeah. So I do think it's close. I would just say Wan-Bissaka edges it. But I do agree with what people are saying in the chat as well, saying that it depends on the opponent. And there is an argument to be made as we start to dominate games more, as we start to become an even more side that's in possession a lot more and dominates teams, then maybe that's when you go to Diogo Dalot, because the build-up play might just be a bit better and he's a bit more cultured and he's a bit more comfortable on the ball. Whereas Wan-Bissaka is a better defender for when you're expecting there to be pressure on you or you're going to have individual duels. But I still think going forward this season, if it's a big game, when we play City, when we play Arsenal, when we play Liverpool, I think Wan-Bissaka starts all of those games. I think you look back at the Carabao Cup win last season, I think the one criticism of Ten Hag in that game was should have started Wan-Bissaka because Diallo struggled against Saint-Maximin in that game, which I think speaks volumes. So I'm with you. I'm happy that they're thinking of extending his contract. And what a turnaround. I think it's a huge credit to him, first of all, for putting in the work, improving, not getting too downbeat about it and keep fighting back. And once he did get an opportunity, which was Diallo's injury after the World Cup, he just kicked the door down and went, right, I'm going to get my spot back. And he did it. And I also think it's a credit to Ten Hag too, because clearly what Ten Hag is doing with him and the entire technical team really is working with him as well. So again, at the moment, I would say he just edges it at the moment, but it'll be really interesting to see how even Diallo reacts to that this season too, but I like the competition there. I think it's really good. Let's see if I've got any more super chats here. Again, Ruben says Owen deserves a massive pay rise. Go. Wow. Grassroots campaign. Yeah, grassroots campaigns going on there, Marcel. And just also a bit of an update for the poll in the chat. Nearly 1,500 votes. The question was, what will United do? The options were sign Hojlund, sign Kane, sign both. Sign Hojlund is on 46%, sign Kane is on 14%, and sign both is 40% as well. So at the moment, signing Hojlund is just edging it. Let's talk about Amad Diallo. Of course, there was a bit of concern about him after he limped off and was spotted on crutches after the game against Arsenal at the weekend. He's since gone on Instagram and said that it's nothing too serious. So I don't know if he's going to be involved in the next game or not. It looks like him coming off and being on crutches was a precautionary measure, but he's going to be okay. Good news, Marcel.
Yeah, man, really, really happy to hear that news. Was a bit worried because, you know, I see him as a fantastic talent, Amad, and I really want him to kick on and get into the first team and just push on his career, really get to that next stage, because we need the extra bit of talent, and getting someone that we had obviously invested so much time and money in previous year, you know, really starting to come through now in the Championship in particular, and he needs this chance. So, you know, Arsenal are very, very horrible with the challenges. You know, and I know people complaining about our style of football in that particular fashion, but Martinelli, Timber, disgusting challenges in that game as well, and obviously Amad.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you about that because I saw the complaints. Obviously, I saw the one from Ty. That wasn't surprising me. I like the fact that people were surprised by that. I can't believe how bitter he was. Surprised.
Yeah.
Have you ever spoken to him? But yeah. So there was a narrative out there after the game that, you know, United were too physical and in a game of football. And like, you look at, I saw Robbie say, I thought Lisandro Martinez was lucky to stay on the pitch. I went, really? He got a booking for that tackle, maybe because it was a bit high, but people forget he got the ball in that tackle, actually. Got the ball. Yeah. And if you want to talk about yellow cards, and this to me felt like just a lot of projection, because I was doing the match view and we were the first to get the yellow because Martinez got booked. But before that, Arsenal, Jurrien Timber, for like 5-10 minutes, he put in foul after foul after foul on our players. And I was thinking, I was even saying on it, I went, I know it's a friendly and the referee doesn't want to book people in friendlies, but when eventually do you go, like, you've done this like 3 or 4 times in the space of like 2 or 3 minutes, like you have to get booked. At one point, United were on a counter-attack. Bruno Fernandes is going to run up the pitch. Kai Havertz just pulls him back. Cynical foul. That's a booking. So if you want to start talking about physicality and you want to start talking about bookings and all that kind of stuff, first of all, it's a game of football. Get over it. Ten Hag said it himself. Ten Hag, it was a spoiler in his press conference. He said, there's no such thing as a friendly. We're not going in to go, we're not going to put tackles in because it's a friendly. No, that's what we're going to do. You can't switch off that kind of mentality like a light switch of, oh yeah, it's just for a friendly. No, if you step on the pitch, it's physical. That's it. Pre-season, it's exactly the same as the Premier League season in terms of intensity. That's what winners do.
Yeah.
So that part of it. And again, I thought Arsenal put their fair share of bad tackles in too. Like, get over it. Get over it.
Exactly. It just reeks of, you know, loser mentality, and for them, you know, that's their process. I'm just glad that we're not focused at that. And our managers got us, you know, wired completely differently now. You know, and you can just see it. You know, they were already looking for excuses, and I guess I can understand it. You know, they're upset that their new signings, big shiny new signings, 150 million microwave rice, you know, Havertz and co. You know, they just weren't good enough, and we had a young superstar that just bossed the midfield. You know, they had their new signings that just looked so dysfunctional. So yeah.
Can you imagine coming out after the game and being like, the other team was too intense? That's not fair.
Yeah,
how embarrassing is that?
Yeah.
How embarrassing. Literally. How embarrassing to come out and be like, the other team, they were too physical for us. That's not fair. That's not right. And also, that referee was rubbish.
Yeah,
he was shocking. And he shaded them way more than he shaded us, because at one point, people don't talk about this enough, Casemiro got a handball given against him when it hit him in the face.
Yeah.
In the face. And someone had to come on and do those concussion checks on him, and they gave a handball, and he got up to his feet and he went, it's a free kick to Arsenal, handball. He went, what? I got hit in the face, square in the face by the ball. So don't even start that the referee favoured us, because he definitely didn't. What a load of nonsense. Super chat here from It's Just Danny says, it's Monday. I need a motivational speech, Owen. Oh, motivational Monday. Well, actually, to be honest, I think Marcel is probably better at giving a motivational speech. Go on, Marcel.
I haven't got any sort of motivational speeches to go. I mean, today's the 24th. And Andre Onana is number 24. So we're going to go out, have a good game against Real Madrid, and enjoy the football whenever that is. But I haven't got nothing to do with motivation.
I'm not sure the best motivational speech starts with, I don't have a motivational speech. You've got to say, look, it's Monday. It's the start of a fresh week. You get up out of bed, you breathe life in, and you take it by the scruff of the neck, and you make it what you want. That's what you got to do, you know?
Yeah, that was much better than mine. Oh,
Come on, man. Marcel, I need the Marcel motivation. That's what it should be. A segment on every show. Marcel motivation or Marcel thought for the day.
Thoughts of Marcel, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. How many likes are we currently on Marcel? Let's motivate the chat to click the like button at the moment. We're currently at 412 likes, less than 100 to go till 500. We can do it as well. Motivation, says Lil Yo-Yo. Lil Yo-Yo says, it's Monday. If you're alive, well, a purpose, a job, then it's a good day. Happy Monday, all, and God bless. There you go. See, I can see the chat. You don't just need us. The chat can motivate as well. Sashiv says, I've been telling everyone about Rice. He is a sideways passing merchant, just like Aaron Ramsey. Well, I got quite carried away after the game with Declan Rice. I said he was king, and I'll shout out someone in the chat because they gave me the idea, was King Fraud Fried Rice, which is the number 41, cost £100 million. Oh, that's tremendous. And Brains247 says, pay no more than 70 to 75 million pounds for Harry Kane. So still lots of people talking about Harry Kane too. Finally, a bit of an update on Eric Bailly, a possible exit. We've had one person go to Saudi Arabia in Alex Telles. His move was confirmed over the weekend, Al Nasser. But it could be Eric Bailly who's following next. Dharmesh Chef from Sky Sports, big up Dharmesh, said the interest from Saudi Arabia in Manchester United defender Eric Bailly was concrete. Talks are ongoing with two clubs over a 3-year deal worth £20 million. Now, we'll get to that £20 million thing in a minute because people were confused by this. But Cristiano Ronaldo reportedly has spoke to him directly to tell him about the league and the lifestyle in Saudi Arabia. Bailly, of course, is not on United's US tour. He has 1 year left on a contract plus a year option. Now, again, people got quite confused when they saw £20 million. We are not selling Eric Bailly for £20 million. That is not happening. I think he means his contract would be worth 20 million across 3 years. It'd been rumored that Eric Bailly could be sold for like 2 million quid or something like that. 3 million quid, baby. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. But it's about getting players off the books, isn't it, Marcel?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the main target is to clear the books. You know, you want an opportunity for new players to come in. So as long as they're gone, I've been saying it for a little while, it's poor business from the previous regimes, you know, and it's hard to get them off the books with those ridiculous wages. No one in world football is paying players the way that Man United used to pay players anyway. I think now it's going to be a lot better going forward. But yeah, Eric Bailly needs to leave, you know. Plenty more, you know. Brandon Williams, another one that just needs to leave and get off the book. So, but we're going in the right direction. I think Ten Hag's doing everything exactly the right way right now, especially with the outgoings as well. So I'm trusting Ten Hag.
Yeah, I think, you know, some of those players that are on the periphery, of course, they played in the second half against Arsenal at the weekend, and I think they put themselves in the shop window fairly well. People like Brandon Williams, people like Harry Maguire as well. It was funny, actually, because there was a lot of back and forth about Maguire on social media. And first of all, what I do want to say is there was a video of people kind of shouting abuse at Harry Maguire on social media. I don't know if you saw that, Marcel.
I think I did, man. I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like that either. You know, it's this is where there's a line. And the line is, you can say that you don't think Harry Maguire is good enough, and you can say that he should leave, but you don't have to, you know, scream obscenities at him or anything like that after a game. If you're there in the stadium, you support the team, regardless of whether you like him or not. All right. So that's one thing. As far as his performance, it was strange because I was watching it in real time and I was quite critical because there was improvement and there were certain instances where he did okay, but there were still instances where he was Harry Maguire and doing Harry Maguire things. You know, there was one point where he kind of miscontrolled the ball and it nearly went back and they nearly scored a goal out of it, or a couple of passes where he gave one into Casemiro and Casemiro flicked it, but it wasn't the right pass to give to Casemiro and he put him under pressure. And I've seen a lot of people like focusing just on the positives and people focusing just on the negatives, and I'm just like, he did okay, but still it hasn't changed, I don't think, his situation at United. I still think he needs to go. But again, that video I saw, I thought was totally over the line and disgusting. And stuff like that, I think, just is so unnecessary. So unnecessary. But to switch to something a bit more positive before we wrap things up, Kobbie Mainoo. Lots of people talking about Kobbie Mainoo at the weekend, obviously with his first half performance. What did you make of him?
Wow. Starting the making, and we were talking about, you know, his trajectory and his potential, you know, a couple mornings ago, and he's just showing it on the biggest stage, you know, just so physical at that young age, against the likes of Declan Rice and stuff, no issue. No issue at all. Very composed on the ball at such a young age. Beyond his years in terms of his mental attributes and the way he conducts himself on the pitch. Like I was saying before, Ten Hag used to be a central defensive midfielder, so he's got the best person to learn from, and for me, Ten Hag's the best manager in the world, and he will go on to prove that. So you're really getting up to the best knowledge, especially for our system and the way we want to play. He just has to maybe take his time. I think in the Prem this season or overall in all comps, he must probably get maybe 10 or 12 starts next season. Can you make the best of those 10 or 12 starts? Obviously he'll come off the bench a lot of times in important games, but so far so good, man, and he just looks like a class above.
I thought he was excellent. And obviously, look, you don't want to get too carried away. And people say, oh, you're overhyping youngsters and youth players and whatever. But all you can say is, look, if you see someone play well, you can say they played well. And they played very well. And I think also you do have to take into account the occasion and the opponent. There was over 80,000 people in that stadium against an Arsenal side that was their first strength side, maybe give or take a player or two. They didn't have Jesus at front. They had Nketiah. But it's basically their strongest team, and they're certainly their new look midfield, wasn't it? I mean, Arsenal fans can debate that they'd rather have Partey in there and all that kind of stuff, but still, that's their new look midfield. And Kobbie Mainoo was not out of place at all. I thought technically he was excellent. I thought his positional sense was so smart and beyond his years. With Wan-Bissaka going forward or being inverted in the middle of the pitch, Kobbie Mainoo just filled in on the right. He split the two centre backs, dropped deep. Obviously, got the assist for the Bruno goal as well. So I thought he was excellent. And again, whilst you don't want to get too carried away, we talked earlier on about the Harry Kane situation and finances and maybe not doing certain deals to maybe get involved in this deal later on. You're talking about Amrabat. Maybe there's an argument to be made that you go, well, maybe we don't get Amrabat, and maybe that's Kobbie Mainoo's spot. Because look at the midfielders you've got. You've got Mason Mount, you've got Casemiro, you've got Christian Eriksen, you've got Scott McTominay, who's probably going to stay. Fred's going to go. Maybe Kobbie Mainoo becomes that fifth. That's 5 midfield options.
Yeah. I mean, when he's put it like that, and if he has the kind of impact how Garnacho did and really claims his spot, you can. I mean, you can give him plenty more games in the season, and he's really pushing for a regular spot. But I just think Amrabat in the big moments, I think he will be fantastic. I really do think, and he can play him a little bit higher up the pitch. I just think it allows Kobbie to progress properly. Casemiro is there, a little bit older. Amrabat's just now coming into his prime, or just at his prime now. And Kobbie gets a little bit more time to even play sometimes higher up the pitch, just so that the pressure's off you defensively, making the critical decisions and the plays. You can play him a little bit higher up the pitch like he was doing last season, Ten Hag. But you're right. We have to balance the books as well, so we have to consider that as well, and that's why you most probably ask Kobbie to step up and make the step up. So let's see what happens.
Some people saying I didn't say Donny. Donny didn't even come on at the weekend. I think that speaks volumes. And again, not even the Donny van de Gendel, all that kind of stuff. Not only did he not come on, but I don't think anyone was saying, "Oh, Donny didn't come on" when it happened. Like that's crazy.
He wasn't missed. Yeah.
No, and again, I think what's best for him is that he goes and talking about raising money, raising finances. That's another one. He's involved in that category with Fred, Donny, possibly Maguire, Brandon Williams, etc. Dean Henderson. If we're gonna be involved for Harry Kane or even Amrabat, then they'll probably have to go. That's the problem. Yeah, exactly. But there you go, guys. That's the latest Manchester United transfer news. Let's do a quick check on super chats and likes before we wrap things up. It's gone very quickly, hasn't it, Marcel?
Yeah.
Brain says, no, we've done that one. Okay, we're all caught up. There you go, Marcel. Look at us being very productive this morning. We were on time as well. Oh, things are changing. It's a new week with us, Marcel. The team is teaming. At the moment. We're only 30 likes away. 30 likes away from 500. So if you haven't already, click that like button whilst you're on the way out. A reminder, as I said, there is more tour content on the horizon. If you haven't already checked it out from the weekend, there's so much stuff. You can watch the New York fan meetup featuring a load of the American fans. I know so many people have wanted to get involved and get their voices heard or their opinions heard. So that was a lot of fun. Check that out with a load of fun cameos. I mentioned the guys from Stretford Paddock and a bunch of other people as well. So that was awesome. You can check out all of the reaction and fallout from the game against Arsenal at the weekend too. As I also said, there will be a New York Mega Vlog Part 1 coming later today. So be sure to have your notifications switched on. If you subscribe, if you haven't already, subscribe, turn the notifications on. You'll be notified when that video goes up, when it premieres, or if we go live, possibly with some Rasmus Hojlund news. So there you go. Anyway, guys, as I mentioned, be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. It's Monday. It's the start of a new week, so there could be more content on the horizon, more transfer news. Stay tuned. We're out of here. Peace.